I'm Anita Katyal Rane. I'm the founder of PROVENTUS, and we are here this afternoon on the weekend with some of my students, and that's what the entire webinar is about, for these students to share their experiences of living abroad. Two of my students, unfortunately, are not able to connect the camera. So again, hurdles of technology. Aaron and Swati, they're going to be joining us voice only. There's going to be no camera. Let me quickly take you through all of them. So the first girl that you can see up there, Ramaa Parulekar, she is joining us all the way from UK. It's about 6:30 in the morning with 0 degrees temperature there. It's freezing and she's up in the morning to talk to all of us. So thank you so much, Ramaa.
Thank you for having me over.
Ramaa is pursuing her medicine at University of Dundee. Okay, I'm frozen again, I think.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh, you're good.
I froze again?
No, you're all right now.
Okay. Okay, so like I was saying, Ramaa is from University of Dundee. She's pursuing her medicine there. With Ramaa, we've got Poorva Daptardar there, and Poorva's done her master's in English linguistics from National University of Singapore, and she's at the moment in Munnar. Poorva,
Yeah.
enjoying her holiday in beautiful weather, while we are all sitting in the heat here, and I'm sitting in real heat because there's no pump and there's no AC, so it's really warm in my office. We have Aaron online, who we can't see. Aaron Salve is pursuing his BSc in Applied Mathematics from University of California, San Diego. He's going to graduate next March, and I'm not going to say what he's planning to do because we're going to ask him what he's planning to do after that. So, hello to everyone, Aaron, because we can't see you.
Hello.
Okay, and we finally have Swati. Swati online.
I'm here. Yeah. Hi, guys.
Yeah. Swati is pursuing her double degree. She's doing, again, mathematics, so very close to what Aaron is doing. She's doing mathematics from University of Waterloo, and she's doing her business program from Laurier. So Swati, again, has her calendar full. And this is the time typically when you guys have your semesters, right? Aaron, Ramaa, and Swati.
Yeah, what's going on now?
Yeah, so thank you so much for taking time out from your busy schedule to join us for this 1 hour.
Thank you for having me.
So what I'm going to do today is, I am not going to be sharing any presentation for everyone who's online. I'm not sharing any presentation right now. I want to keep this more richer with having the students share their experiences, because that's what the this webinar is all about. If we have time at the end of the webinar, I will share some slides which kind of walks you through the processes of trying to do your applications if you want to study abroad. But we'll keep that on a as of basis, because most of you already know how the processes work. So let's keep that for the end. Should we start with a little introduction of yourselves? Who wants to go first? The youngest, Ramaa.
I am Ramaa Parulekar. I am a second-year medical student at the University of Dundee. I'm an undergrad entry, and I kind of I want to be a surgeon when I grow up, which is why I typically decided to enter medicine and study medicine as a career.
Sure. I'm Swati Shriram. Right now, as Anita ma'am said, I'm doing a double degree in business and math. But when I first started out, possibly in grade 11 or 12, I had no idea what I wanted to do, because I was so interested in almost everything I touched, literally from ancient literature to mathematics and science and chemistry and all of that. And now I'm doing a business and math degree. And although it seems like two different worlds, at that time I was very confused, which is why obviously I reached out to PROVENTUS, and with Anita ma'am's help, I was able to figure out a career path for myself. I've even started working in the sales and marketing field. So right now, business is something that I'm very much interested in, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Swati. Aaron, you're next.
Okay, so when I was in 12th, I was good at maths and biology, so I knew I was going to go for one of them. But I think maths was just felt more attractive because like the satisfaction you get from solving questions was it felt really nice. So that's why I went for applied math. I didn't want to go for pure math because I thought theoretical maths was kind of boring. So I thought let's go for applied math. And when I started with applied math, I didn't really know where I wanted to apply it. So I had a lot of options. I could apply to artificial intelligence or financial systems and biotechnology and whatnot. But now I'm in fourth year and I have decided to go for artificial intelligence. So yeah, I will probably continue with with my applied math for my master's and then start focusing on machine learning for my PhD and stuff like that. So yeah, that's it from my end.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
Aaron. Poorva, you're next.
I feel so old already. Anita.
That's okay. Don't feel old. You have me online, and I'm 49, so don't. You're half my age. I think even lesser than half my age. So you're really young.
Yes. So for my undergrad, I graduated in English literature, and for my master's, I was really interested in literature since I started schooling. But I didn't want to do literature for my master's because it seemed redundant, and I wanted to learn the technical bit of the language as well. That is, which is why I pursued my master's in English language and linguistics. And at the moment, I am working for the global marketing team of Apex LLP, which is a global finance service provider. So that's what I did.
Okay. Awesome. So that's a little bit about all of us. What I want to bring, to head over here is that I actually have two students online who are, doing math. And I have, over the past 8 years, as a counselor, seen so many students coming into me and saying, I just can't do math. Math is so difficult. I hate math. I just want to drop. So like they're waiting for grade 10 to get over so they can drop math in grade 11. So I want Swati, and I wanted to share a little bit about this whole math, thing. I always tell everybody math is just it's beyond numbers. Math is more about thinking logically. It's your logical part of your brain. And I always like to give them this example of a series called Numbers. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but there's actually a series called Numbers where you have a mathematician solving crimes because he's a mathematician, because he's so logically minded. So Aaron and Swati, can you share a little bit about math as an undergrad program? Is it really as tough as people perceive math to be? Swati, did you want to take it up?
Yeah, I can go
Yeah,
first. I don't mind. It's actually so interesting. Up until grade 8, I was very average in mathematics. I got the bare minimum needed to pass the subject to move on to the next class. But when I reached grade 8 or grade 9, that's when it kicked in for me. Like I loved the subject so much, and I guess I just really worked so hard because, I was tired of being another average student. And then I worked really hard at it, and somehow my grades came up to like the high 90s and all of that. More than just the marks for me, math is just the satisfaction it gives me when when I solve something. Just as you said, someone who's so logic centered finds math really appealing. It's one of the reasons I really like it. But other than that, like unlike Aaron said, I really love pure mathematics. I don't find it boring at all. In fact, I can visualize the graphs and all of that, and it just makes it so much more interesting for me. I feel like math is all around us. It's in the nature, it's in our bodies, it's everywhere. And when I use it to intertwine everything I learned from math and then I mix it with my business courses, I feel like I can give it another dimension, another perspective that just sometimes lacks in other business courses. So, which is why I really like mathematics. And yes, the degree at Waterloo is extremely rigorous. We have assignments every single day. We also have courses other than math that you need to do to graduate. These are some of the required courses you need to take. But if you like it and you're willing to work for it, it will do a great deal for you.
Thank you, Swati. Aaron.
Yeah, so
Did you want to
just
take
as
that
Swati
up?
said, Yeah, so just as Swati said, I actually have a different perspective because I don't think I really love math per se, but I do, as I said, the only reason I chose math was because I found it easy. But also on that note, I feel as if, unfortunately, when we teach math, I think the way we teach math in Indian schools is a bit wrong because it should be more about solving questions and not about getting them right. And that's how I feel as if it's in the Indian schools. It's all about getting the questions right, and I think that's why the students freak out so much. But once getting into college, I realized that the teachers here are so, I mean, they love going wrong. I mean, each time they go wrong, they just laugh it off and they just start solving everything again. And and I feel as if that's one thing. But the other thing is that math is also so broad. In high school, I feel as if it's always about solving problems, but then in college, it's more about thinking. Yes, you do have questions, you do have midterms and stuff like that, but then you also have so many concepts that you're learning about. And so, in that sense, I don't really find math to be that different from other courses. I mean, all courses, you have something that you need to memorize, and then something you need to think about, and maths is the same. So, yeah, I think maths is overrated, maybe, but at the same time, if you don't feel confident about it, then it's probably okay to leave it aside because you do need confidence, and you do need to have some level of l- conf- confidence might be the right word, but yeah, you do need confidence when you approach math. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is all about. It's the so you say confidence. So I would say the opposite of that. Oh, we got electricity back. Okay, so the opposite of that. Sorry, yes, I know. AC is back on again. So I think the opposite of confidence, the way I look at it is, the mind block which people have. So because they don't have confidence in the subject, they have this mind block saying, hey, I just can't do this. And the reason
Yeah,
why you
exactly.
find math so easy to do is, because you're so inclined towards it. Innately you've got the
Yeah,
strength for
and
it.
yeah, and maybe also because
I,
you're
I
not
still
afraid of it.
remember.
Yeah,
Exactly. If I remember correctly, when we met a couple of years back, when Ashok, your dad, and you guys came over, we were thinking about engineering as the main subject for you, right? That was the major that we were looking at for you.
yeah, yeah.
And we moved from, I think it was chemical engineering is what we were looking at, and we actually moved from chemical engineering into something so pure like an applied mathematics.
Yeah, we did.
So
Because I didn't like physics and chemistry, so I was like, I want to go for math. It's okay, I'll go for math.
yeah, so I was so happy because for once I had a student who says, "Oh, I want to do math," as against people say, "Oh, I just don't want to do math." And math, of late has become such an important subject. So I know. So, Raman, did you drop math? Did you do only PCB?
Yeah, I definitely dropped math the moment I could.
Yes, you were one of those students because
Yes.
you again were very clear. So I think we met when you were in grade 8 or grade 9,
Yes. I think
right?
grade 9,
And
yes. Uh-huh.
yeah, and we've been there for for 4 years. We were kind of in touch and kind of figuring out. But you were very clear you wanted to do medicine.
Hmm.
And at that point of time, so we were looking for you universities in Europe and in UK. That's what we did. But
Yes.
do you know that actually now universities in Europe, for them, math is a prerequisite?
I'm so happy I'm in the UK right now. I wouldn't have
So
gotten it.
you wouldn't have got into the Europe.
No. Oh, I think she froze.
Yeah, probably the light went off again.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh
Oh
no.
no, it's probably the power flux.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Poorva, what do you think about mathematics?
I am also, I'm similar. I had, whenever I got the opportunity, I would totally skip mathematics. It's probably because I had a phobia of math. Like I never tried hard enough. Maybe had I tried enough, I would have been good at math. Who knows? But I never tried. I was just really scared. Like after 10th grade, I switched to humanities right away. So, because that's the opportunity of a lifetime I saw and I just took it. Yeah. I mean, med school or engineering school was never never on the plan because
I'm not visible.
mathematics are prerequisite. So
Ashwini, I am hung, right?
Hi.
Your video went off.
yeah, you're not
We can
sharing your
still hear
video.
you though.
There you are.
Okay,
And you're back.
I'm back. Conversation, just to attendees. So I think it's just one of those days today when the wife is just going crazy with us. Okay, so yeah, so math. So that's what it is. Let's talk a little bit about your journeys, okay? So all of you decided to go abroad to study, whether it was at undergrad level or at a master's level. And most of the undergrad level, because a lot of the parents who come in are very, unsure about sending their children, especially when it's a girl child. So Ramaa and Swati, especially for the two of y'all. So when it comes to sending a girl child away, when she's just 17, 18 to a foreign country to study, they're so worried about it. They're so concerned, and I totally understand that. I'm the mother of a 16-year-old child. So what are your experiences, as, girl child in a foreign country?
Actually, I would like to start this by, I remember when we were first selecting our universities, and you would always highlight the ones which were safer. So my parents were quite at ease from the very beginning because you would always make sure that you picked out those universities which had a good reputation. And I think, yes, and I think my parents are really at ease when I went to Dundee for my interview, and they saw how welcoming and kind everyone over there was. And it has been a reason for me from the moment I stepped into Dundee because people in the UK are very nice and very kind, and they are really welcoming, and they want you to feel accommodated, and they want you to feel welcomed in their country. So it has been a wonderful journey for me so far. And with that, because I am in the UK, you get a lot of international crowd, so it doesn't ever feel like you're away from home. I have a lot of Indian friends over here. I have a lot of Asian friends. So there's not a whole lot of cultural difference which I experience from that end.
Okay.
So I think that's it.
Yeah. Swati, what about you? I mean, Ramaa still, just about like a 6-hour flight away from us. But Swati, you are like at the least, you're like a 16-hour flight away from us.
Yeah.
At the worst, it's like a 30-hour flight. So
Yeah, I'm on the other
you're
side.
really so far away from home. And I remember when this whole COVID situation happened, and your mom called me, and we were having this long conversation, how concerned she was.
Yeah, very much.
So, yeah, so you want to share something about that?
Yeah, when I went in first year, I think security wasn't an issue for me when I first went to Canada. I'm in a very nice, closed, safe campus, and Laurier is very, very welcoming to international students. In fact, they have so many clubs and associations that you will never feel alone. You always feel as if you're a part of the Wilfrid Laurier community. So safety was never an issue for me. I think it was just, obviously my parents were very nervous the first time when we talked about even considering universities abroad, because I always thought I was going to do my undergrad in India, and I was ever so confused as well. But then once I went there, just as Ramaa said, it was a very welcoming community. I really liked my first year experience there, other than the academic part, because I did go 2 weeks late. So that, really tipped up the pressure for me. Academically, it was a lot of stress in the beginning, first couple months, because I had to adjust to such a rigorous program and all of that. But other than that, I really liked the community. Like you just never feel alone.
Correct. So, and Waterloo, where you are, is actually a university community, right? So with Laurier, with Waterloo there, Guelph close by. So it's actually a student city, right?
Yeah, I have two homes, one at Waterloo and the other one at Laurier. I can always, if I feel bored at one campus, I can walk to the other. It's just 10 minutes apart.
Yeah, awesome. Adam, you want to share some of your experiences as an international student? So, I mean, for you, I mean, even, the fact that you are halfway across the world. So, how was this entire experience of moving to a new country? Is Aaron online? Or have we lost him? Aaron, your speaker, you're on mute. So do you want to unmute yourself? Okay, I think we're having a glitch over there. So okay, there he's on. Yeah. Hey, Aaron. Nope. I can't hear you, Aaron. Okay, so till Aaron finds his voice, Poorva, do you want to take this forward? So as an international student, what's the experience?
So the reason why I picked, this is one of the reasons why I picked Singapore is because A, it's very close to home. B, it is extremely safe. So I remember going out at 3 in the morning, walking out of the library, walking on the street, feeling extremely safe because it's also very small. And that is the reason why it's so safe, especially for women. That's one. And Singapore is also extremely welcoming because they have a really big Indian population. So they're very welcoming, although they're predominantly a Chinese country, but they're extremely welcoming. They have students flying in from everywhere, right? From Australia. I have friends who came to NUS from Australia, from the States. We had exchange programs going on because we have a collaboration with Yale as well. So we have NUS Yale College. So we have a lot of Americans flying in from there. So yeah, NUS is also a community in its own because we have med school, we have engineering school, we have NUS Yale College, we have Tembusu College, we have a College of Peter and Dan. So it's a really big community as well. And I have met so many NUS graduates while I was applying for jobs. And now that I'm working in an MNC, I have 3 NUS alumna as well, which is really nice, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to pick a college abroad. So yeah, it was phenomenal. And I remember, Anita, us having this conversation where you said I'm being a bit ambitious because my grades were extraordinary and we have very limited seats for the master's programs. We have only 24 and we get 30,000 applications every year for this program. And so you were like, no, you should have a backup. And I was so insistent, no, I have to apply here. And can you believe, I still am.
Yeah.
And I still can't believe that I managed to go there. And I remember us having this conversation where you called and you got in. I still remember that day. Like it was
But I always
yesterday.
get so excited when my students get into the university they want to. You know, I'm more excited I think than they are.
And, you were.
And we always do that, right? So I tell all my students, I say, so you're one example, where, where your profile does not necessarily meet the requirement of the university, but you really don't know what is going to tip, the balance for you in the application process. So we always say, you must apply to your dream universities. 2 or 3 of them, you must definitely apply, even if there's a huge gap between it, because you really don't know who's having a good day when he's looking at your application.
Exactly.
So you just might get it. And there are times when we have students who are such, perfect fits, as per the requirement of the university, and we get a reject, So there's no pattern when it comes to offer letters. So you just need to, Sorry,
so when I actually got in, I had a conversation with my HOD because right after we got the acceptance, she wrote me an email saying, congratulations, and I'm really happy because when she read my SOP, she was a little surprised to see that somebody like me, who I've always been in humanities all my life, and I wanted to go for linguistics, which is we rely a lot on statistics and numbers because that's again mathematics is involved, and she was not sure why I would apply to a program so rigorous because it's a master's program and I have no background of linguistics whatsoever. But she was very happy that somebody like me was interested in linguistics, and so she said, I'm really happy that you applied, and that's why I'm so happy that you're on my class. So yeah, like you said, you don't know what they're looking for in their application. So it's always good to just apply.
It's always good to do that. Absolutely, you just get into your dream universities, and and even if you don't, at least you've tried. You always
Yes.
need to give it the best. And I
Yeah, I
remember
agree.
with you, your essays, and your papers that you had written, my God, I mean, they were awesome. I had a great time going through those. Adam,
Yeah.
you remember your essays? And so, Adam, are you back? Well,
No.
we still
Yeah, I'm
can't
back.
hear Adam.
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Yeah,
You back? Okay.
yeah. So
Hey, Adam.
I had internet issues as well. Sorry.
Okay. So we were talking also, the question that we missed you out on was your experience as an international student. So you want to comment on that?
Yeah, so I think UC San Diego was pretty prepared for international students, to say the least, because I think they build their whole system around the assumption that a lot of international students are going to be here. And so I went in a summer session program, which was meant for international incoming freshman students. So in that program, they taught you a lot of things, and the goal of that program was essentially to, get you, I don't know, introduce the American culture to you. I mean, that's not even the best way I can put it, but they taught you about a lot of things about some social issues, what is the right way to behave, how is the right way to address people, and so things like that. So I think UCSD was very prepared for international students. Even in the lectures, the professors are so courteous about your race, about your gender, about all these things, never assuming anything. And so, yeah, I mean, my international experience was very different from my local experience, to say the least. Um, yeah, I think I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, and I think we Indians are everywhere. So I remember when I had
Oh
moved
yeah,
to Canada in
oh
2001, I
yeah,
had moved to Canada, and we would have to drive for miles to find an Indian grocery store. So in 2001, we had an Indian community in Canada, but not really much. And now when I go there, so Canada's home for me. So like all you guys know. So when I go there every year, and this year I missed out, right? All you guys called up and you said, "Hey, are you in Canada?" But now when we go to Canada, there's literally an Indian grocery store at every block. So I think that, and that's the reason why probably we are having so many parents now more comfortable to send undergrad, to send the children for undergrad studies. I remember when I started, like I'm going back to 8 years when I started, I would majorly have master students who would come into me. But now it's
oh yeah.
the undergrad students. A lot of children want to go
I
there
think
right from their first year, which I
yeah,
think
and
is an awesome thing. So
and
Anita,
I
can
think
I
all
if
say
this makes
something?
parents,
No,
sorry.
sorry.
oh
Go on,
sorry,
Aaron. Go on. Go on.
oh okay. So I think if this makes parents feel safe, so I think
Correct.
almost all US universities have a very strong security system. And also,
Correct.
there are very strong rules against hazing and thieving and literally any other worries you might have about danger. And so, yeah, I think it's extremely safe. And even when you
Yeah.
move off campus, I think the U.S. police system, especially in like the democratic, I mean, right now we are having some issues, but if you're in like a democratic region, then the police system is also very um, safe. And yeah, I don't
But I
think
think
there's
most
anything to worry about as
universities,
long as it's about, yeah.
yeah, and I think most universities have that, right? You'll have these student services,
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh,
which
yeah. And they're really active.
Hmm.
They're really active too,
Oh yeah.
especially because they're all registered with the. So for us, I had ICA, which is the immigration body of Singapore. I'm sure every
Mhm.
country has that immigration body, right? So when you're issued a student visa, they make sure that they have a tap on you. So they are very, very careful, and they have, I mean, you are very safe because you are the country's responsibility, right? So when you're on foreign soil, they make sure that you are safe, you're taken care of. So that's one thing. I was also
Mm.
going to say that now I think when I look back to my application for my master's, now I think I should have gone for undergrad. Yeah, that would have
Yeah.
been, because yeah, like everybody else, my parents are also a little skeptical about sending me out for undergrad because you're a teenager, you're not as mature as you are when you're pursuing your master. So that was again one concern. But yeah, I should have applied for undergrad. What do you say? What do you say, Anita?
We can still, I mean, you can still go abroad and study. But we talked about, going to
we
Canada
have.
with another program. We've talked
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, so I mean, you can
Yeah.
still be a student. You're never stopping a student. I was a student at the age of 33 at University of Toronto. So,
Yeah. Maybe for an
because-
MBA, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
for an
Once we
MBA.
have experience, we can do that.
Yeah.
So coming back to, I had a question going on in my head when Aaron was talking, but for some reason I've lost it. I think age is catching up with me. So tell me, what was it that made you decide to go abroad to study? So why not India? So, Ramaa, do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm studying medicine. Firstly, it's quite difficult to get a seat in India in a good government college for medicine. And my parents had decided that they do not want to put me into that mess.
Yeah, I remember
Yes.
that. Yeah, that's
So
the
we
reason
were,
we started grade 9. Yeah.
yes. So, which is why I had like straight from grade 9, I had decided that I wanted to go abroad. The second reason why it is more important, especially when you're doing medicine, to start from undergrad is a lot of times your degree will not be accepted in countries like UK, USA, New Zealand, or Australia. Like Indian degrees would not be accepted abroad if you are planning to continue doing your master's there. So it's always important to start early, and it's always important to plan early on. Now that I'm doing a degree from a UK university, I have many doors open, so I can still continue doing my master's from, say, USA if I want to, or I can go to Singapore, or I can also come back to India, and I don't have to give additional exams. So that's a plus point for me because my degree, the degree which I would receive would be recognized worldwide.
Correct. Yeah, so I think, if I remember correctly, for you also, what mom and dad had told me was that if we get into a great university in India, we'll do that. But in case we don't get what we want, within Bombay, then, that was our backup plan.
Yeah, but then as I remember when I was like in grade 10 or 11, I kind of decided that I don't want to stay here because I have had too many friends go through the same issues. So I completely focused my attention on my applications towards going abroad and drop my plan when it comes to studying in India, like completely. So that happened.
Swati, what about you? So, why was it, I don't recollect, so why was it, Canada for you?
I think for me, we were looking at Indian colleges as well, because I was so confused about what program to follow. I think when I decided that I finally want to do something with business, I found that I didn't want to just do like a single degree of business because to me, that didn't hold enough value. Which is why when I found the double degree program, which can be coupled with mathematics, and plus you also get a co-op option. So for those of you who are not aware of this, so a co-op is when in 1 year you study for 8 months, and the 4 months you get to work at an actual real life company, and you get to apply everything you learned in the past 8 months in the workplace. And that was a fantastic opportunity. So I study for 5 years, and of those 5 years, I get a 4 times 5, 20 months of work experience with 2 degrees from 2 different, prestigious universities from Canada. So it just felt like I couldn't get that opportunity in India, which is why I decided to go abroad.
Yeah, and I love this whole co-op thing that Canada offers, and that's, I tell all my students that if you have a program, you need to take the co-op program because you get to, so Swati, I think you're doing that, right? So you're working in, in sales and marketing. So you can actually work in different departments and figure out while you're studying, which is the area that you like the most, that you can take that forward as your specialization in masters.
Exactly. So it's like testing the waters before you actually are launched into the workplace. You can actually figure out in those 4 months if you like the work that you want to do, if you want to reach out to some other field. So like I tried sales the first time and I know I didn't like it too much. So the next time I moved to a business analyst role with more marketing responsibilities, and then we'll see how this goes. So it just gives you time to like test the waters and see what works best with you.
Okay. Poorva, do you want to take it forward?
Sure. So for me, it was always like, first, humanities is never given any credit here in India. That was like a total no-no for everybody. It's either engineering or law or med school. And I grew up in an engineering family myself. So I was very sure I did not want to pursue engineering because like I had also seen reservation playing a huge role in trying to secure a seat. So I had decided on humanities. And India did not have a linguistics program apart from Delhi University and 2 other private universities, which were not as recognized as I wanted them to be. So linguistics was quite developed in, say, US or UK, and Singapore had a FAB program. So I thought, why not, and because of that, also I wanted to make sure I am employable everywhere, not just in India, because I had done my research and I thought if it was just Delhi University, people were really skeptical about, oh, whether this person has a legit knowledge of this subject or not, because we're all aware of Delhi University's reputation.
Right.
Which is why I wanted to pursue a humanities degree, which would be recognized and respected as well. So that's the reason why I chose to go abroad for masters.
Thank you, Poorva. Aaron, did you want to take that up?
Yeah, so for me, it was very last moment. I think you remember because
I remember
we
that,
came
yes.
to you. Yeah, we came to you in July and we had to start applying in November, and we hadn't even started preparing for SAT. I remember in
Correct.
July I took an SAT exam and I got like 1150 or something, and then I
Correct.
realized, oh no, my English is so
This
bad.
is 1 month
So I
preparation,
started,
yes. Yes, I remember that.
yeah, and then thankfully we worked together to find an English professor for me, and then he taught me, and then I went to 1490 or something. And then so
Correct.
for me, I think I was doing average in my high school. And basically halfway through my 12th standard, I realized I wouldn't be making to the prestigious Indian universities like IIT or NIT and stuff like that. And so I was like, oh yeah, we should try something else. And then my father found your office by coincidence. And so he decided to
I
check you
know.
out. And then one day after coming back, we were just like, I don't even know, we were just walking somewhere and he just asked me, do you want to try United States? And I just said yes. And then we just started preparing for, we just applied for visa and passport and everything else. And it was so
Yeah.
quick. I mean, I think
Yeah.
by the end of the 5th month, we had already applied to 5 universities and stuff like that. So for me in high school, I I took the JEE and I got accepted at VIT and Manipal and stuff, and
Hmm.
I also took SAT and I got accepted at UT Austin, UC San Diego. So I had a lot of options, but what sold
Correct.
me out was that I was bad at physics. So if I went for engineering, I knew I would do really bad. So I had to choose something which I was good at. And
It's not
besides
a process
that,
of
I think,
elimination. That's what it is. You'll eliminate things and say, okay, I can't do this,
yeah,
so then let me do
basically
this.
that. Oh yeah, it was absolutely an elimination process because I had these options and I just started eliminating everything one by one. And so
Correct.
also I was also confident in my communication skills and stuff like that, because I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
we took this personality test or something, and I remember it
Correct.
was emotional intelligence was high, and so my father and you thought that I was mature enough to go to abroad. And
Correct.
going abroad is much more just than education, it's the experience. So
Correct.
all of these things sort of converged together to like say,
Hmm.
let's go to
Hmm.
United States. And then finally it was just UT Austin and UC San Diego, and we chose San Diego because it's nice. That's it.
I
I
remember for
remember
you,
I
the
just
thing, what tipped was the fact. So one, it was a Silicon Valley, and two, it was the weather. So I remember saying, whether it cannot
Oh
be the
yeah,
priority of choosing a university. But that's what it
I
was.
chose weather.
Okay. So I'm going to
I
take a
mean,
question from what you said. So, it's not just about the studies. So how has this, this experience of studying abroad, how has this changed you guys? Whoever wants to take it up.
I think
Poorva, do you want to take it up?
from
Okay, I didn't
oh
continue.
yeah,
Continue.
No, no,
so I
Aaron,
think
go on. Go on, Aaron.
oh oh
So how's
so
it
my
changed
answer
you?
is actually short. I feel as if um I've just become more mature because I think before I was ready to, I was kind and calm, but I think I was also stubborn in a sense that I never listened to anyone else. But I think since going to United States, I started listening to everyone else. I've also started reading a lot. I always hated reading, but United States writing programs are just insane. I had to take writing courses for 2 years straight, and I struggled with them so much because I never knew writing essays was so complicated. So basically, I did that. Yeah, that's one thing. And then also, I think going forward, if I ever end up working for an international team, working in an international team will be much easier because there's so many factors that you need to consider, like being sensitive to their history and being sensitive to, asking just general questions about the nationality and stuff like that. These are some things that we never learn in a homogeneous country. So these sort of examples, and even not just for international audience, but just treating your own friends and family with courtesy and having that level of respect for your own, you know, your own personal space, emotionally and physically. So those are a lot of things that you learn. Yeah. So
Yeah. Poorva, do you want to take that?
So, actually, for me, I think working now that I'm working, I realized that we had to take an ethics class. It's a compulsory
Okay.
module for all students.
Mhm.
And that's something that taught me a lot, and it's helping me even now every day. Um, we don't pay attention to ethics policies of workspace in India. Now that I'm working for an MNC, I know we have to abide by them. We have like training courses and all of that. Before joining this company, I was working for an Indian organization, and it's shocking because nobody's taught those values, and we don't have an ethics class in university, in an engineering school or a med school, or we're not taught those things. And for me, it was one life-changing module. I thought that's really important. And like Aaron said, I'm more empathetic now towards my colleagues, and not just colleagues but family and friends. That's another. And also, I'm more confident because I lived alone. I started from scratch. I knew no one. And the program that I was enrolled in, I was the only Indian student. Everybody else was Chinese. Nobody
Oh, wow.
spoke. No, yeah, and it was an English program, and they were still
Right.
not as good as I had so many ethnic questions that I answered, and I also realized what it meant to be an Indian. You know, going abroad, people have so many misconceptions about us.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
So many. So
No,
many.
no, no.
And they were
I
like,
think
oh,
the biggest thing is they're surprised that you can speak such good English. I mean, that's something I would
yes,
I would always get that.
Oh,
Oh, you speak
I
English
agree with that.
exactly.
I get
No, I
asked
had a
that
very
so
funny
much.
question. Yeah, I got a very
like,
funny comment. They were like, you don't sound Indian. I'm like, what am I supposed to sound like?
yeah, but so Simpsons and all of that spoiled it for us because everybody thinks that an
Exactly.
Indian either has a Punjabi accent or a South Indian accent.
Exactly. And
Actually,
that's one, because we all, I mean, you realize what it means to be an Indian, because there's so much history and culture that we have. And
True,
Singapore,
true.
as a small country, it's a multicultural country, but they don't have a history as rich as ours, because ours goes back hundreds and thousands of years. That's again fascinating for them. And we grew up in a country with many religions, multiple languages, living under one roof. And that's, I think, one really one experience that I will never let go of is what it means to be an Indian in anywhere around the world. That's something that my studying abroad taught me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes us proud that, people assume that we come from such, third world country, so underdeveloped. But when they see us, they just can't believe it that, we come from India.
Exactly. That was one thing that was really shocking, that they thought we didn't speak in English is not our first language, but it is in fact L1 for us.
It is. It is. Actually, we all have to think in English.
People
true.
didn't have the Indian accent, like the strong Indian accent.
Yeah. Like for me, I was a language student, right? So we learned a lot of things about how we pick up languages and things like that. Language in society is a module that we're taught, and that's where you understand how you think and how you learn languages early on. So for us, actually, most Indians are native speakers of English, but only because English did not originate in our country. We're not given that status, which was something new that I learned. Because I never thought that would be, English is not a foreign language in our country, which is something that we didn't know. So yeah, that was really shocking for me to receive these questions. I didn't know how to answer them.
Yeah, I know. The first time I was asked that, I also was taken aback. It's like, really? I mean, just English, for heaven's sake.
Exactly.
Rama, how has UK changed you over the past 2 years, 1.5 years?
And I think I've really grown as a person, and as Aaron says, you really mature when you study abroad. Like my parents tell me that I've changed so much.
I know when mom came first time, you were going and she wanted to send frozen food for you so that you could cook for yourself over there.
I know.
And now you have all these amazing pictures that you post of things that you're cooking.
Thank you. So yes, one other thing, I do agree with Poorva, by the way, about the misconceptions that people have about Indians abroad, but I do think that it comes from a lack of education on their part. It stems from curiosity, and they aren't necessarily rude about it. Like they welcome knowledge. So with that, like sure, they have a lot of misconceptions, but they are willing to learn and they are willing to. So it's always felt very welcoming. With that, I also feel like, when you live abroad, you really are, there's no one to keep a check on you. The only person that you are accountable towards is yourself. So it's kind of interesting because the decisions you make and the choices you make are really only going to matter to you at that point. They're just going to factor into your life. And I feel when you live abroad, when you start living abroad, when you start living by yourself and you study and you are in a new community, you learn how to be more accountable towards yourself.
True.
I think that kind of freedom is a little scary too, isn't it?
It is scary, for sure.
It definitely is, but ultimately it comes down to the choices you make. And I mean, it's
just that when you're here, in the back of your mind, that come what may, your parents are there to support you, your family's there to support you.
Mm-hmm.
When you're so far away from home, that any decision that you take, you're accountable for it.
I do agree with that, but with the boon of modern technology is that now your parents are just a phone call away. So it's
just a click away.
Yes, so I have never, there are times when I feel homesick, and there are times when I wish I was surrounded by my friends and family, but I can only imagine how this must have been like for students 20 years ago, and it's a different world for us now. It doesn't feel, yes, it doesn't feel like I'm detached from my family or that I'm away. So when I go back home, it's like I've always been there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I lost an entire conversation because my thing went slow again, but I'm sure what it was.
Anita's having a really bad day today.
You living abroad?
Sorry, I didn't.
No.
Was that?
Pardon?
Living abroad, studying abroad, how has it changed you as a person?
Is that towards me? Are you asking me?
Yes, Swati, I
I
think
think
it's
so.
Yes,
Yes, I
Fatima.
believe so.
Actually, borrowing from what Poorva said, I wanted to say this before. It's actually so weird. I even get asked this question. Oh, back in India, do you ride on elephants to go from one
Oh, yeah.
place to another?
Magic carpet and road
Actually
trip.
was asked that.
Yep.
I'm like, what century do you think I'm coming from? Do you
No,
not know
I've
this?
heard even ask about cattle on the street.
It's outrageous.
Yes.
I think more than the lack of education, it's just that they expect us to know about their country and their culture. And if we don't know how to
Exactly.
pronounce a word that they do in their accent, then it's wrong. But the fact that they do not know that much about our values and our customs, that shocks me. But it's fine. I mean, I teach my American and Canadian friends what, the Indian value system is like. Apart from that, I think over the last 3 years, I think one thing that's definitely changed about me is that I feel like I'm more independent now. Other than the financial aspect of it, I do make like a little bit of money that I use for my tuition expenses and for my rent, for my mobile charge expenses and all of that. But other than that, being in a home with just yourself and four other people that you don't know, like back in first year, and then doing your own laundry, attending classes, coming back home, making your own food, and anything else you need to do from like morning to night, doing all of that by yourself, and so many of the 100 other considerations that we need to keep in mind, planning our schedule around 100 different things. It's something you can only learn when you're away from your family, and
True.
all the troubles and everything that comes with it. I totally understand. I feel like every international student can attest to that. We go through so much. I feel like we have our own issues and all of that, but mentally we just become stronger, which is really one of the reasons I wanted to go away and make a life for myself. So I think that's the one thing that I notice a big change in me. Like, I don't get scared by much now. Now that I've seen everything, I mean, almost everything, I feel like definitely independence is one thing that's changed. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one thing I always tell parents. Parents will always come up to me and say, "Oh, but they're very young. How are they going to handle it? He's very irresponsible. She's not mature enough." And I always tell them, as long as they stay here, that's not going to change because you're always going to be there for them. When you send them away from home, that's when they're going to learn to become responsible. That's when they're going to mature. So you need to send them away if you want them to become that. If you think keeping them for another 3 years over here is going to mature them, that's not going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
When they
Better
go
to do it at a young
there,
age.
all the challenges, that's when it'll happen.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah, I
And
agree
it's
with
nice
you.
to learn all of this at a very young
thing
age because you can take that with you as you.
Yep, we've lost her again.
Yeah, I know. I'm feeling up today.
Anita, why don't you
So-
just join via hotspot? That way we won't keep losing you.
No, so I have both of them. So if one drops, the other one picks it up. So that's why I keep going and coming back.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. Like, why don't you switch to like one? Because then we won't lose you.
No, but anyway, we are almost winding down. So I don't see any questions as yet here. So if anybody wants to post any questions, they can do that. But I think we've covered so much already.
Yeah.
What would be, your advice to students? So, in terms of application or in terms of moving, what would you advise the students? Because you'll have been through the entire process. So, what would you say? What should they watch out for? What should they, what is the one thing which is non-negotiable in terms of when it comes to doing applications? What are the things they need to keep at the back of the mind when they, go into a new country? What would you advise them? Would you also advise them to look at, studying abroad? I know that you guys have, but given an option, would you kind of go back, change it and say, what, hey, I wish I'd not moved abroad. I wish I'd continued studying in India. What would you say on that? Whoever.
I think. So Swati, go on. No, go on.
Okay, I can jump on that. I was just saying, for me, everything was good about my first year experience in Canada, but the fact that the climate was a little bit harsh on me. I'm not used to like really harsh winters, and for me, back in like Feb or March, I think it hit minus 38 degrees Celsius for me. So I think the weather in Canada is definitely a consideration that should be a part of your planning. Because if I knew, and with that, I had so many health problems that I didn't know that I was that sensitive to winter, because obviously we haven't gone through any harsh winters in India. You know, I grew up in Chennai and Bangalore and Mumbai, so I've never seen winter to that extent. So now when I went there, I had like a bout of tonsillitis and cold and fever and flu and all of that, and it just never stopped for me. And some of it I still feel to today. Like I picked up vertigo from somewhere, and I still have vertigo to today.
Oh no.
So, knowing all of this would happen in that winter weather, which is about like 5 to 6 months of the year. So for me, like just because of that reason, I would have, rather stayed like in an Indian college in this kind of weather, or even like in a warmer part of Canada, maybe like British Columbia, Vancouver, where it's not that cold. Yeah, so for me, that's the only thing. But other than that, the application process was pretty easy for me. Like obviously Anita ma'am helped me out so much with the SOPs and all of that, so I never had any trouble with that part. Yeah, that's it. I liked everything else.
I think I have something else to say, because
Poorva, you take that?
yeah, because people, when we apply abroad, we of course want to stay back and work abroad. That was one thing that I was looking forward to, but it didn't happen for me, because usually in a country like Singapore, they discourage employing freshers, especially international students, right? So I was really upset about coming back to India and working. And let me just tell, I'm sure there are a lot of students who go through that as well. And there's nothing wrong about coming back and working here, because once you have a degree from that country, you can always go back with work experience. And once you have an international degree, you have exposure to many, many countries. So don't ever be disheartened that, oh, I couldn't stay back, I couldn't work there. Nothing's lost. I am working in a multinational company right now, and it's great. It's amazing. And I didn't lose out on any opportunity. And I did very well. And I have offices across the world, and it's fine. There's nothing that you lose if you come back to India and you have to work here. You will still have your experience from university that you will always learn from. So don't ever be disheartened if you don't get a job abroad right away. Come back, work here, then apply again. I'm sure you'll get in. So that's one thing, because I know I've heard so many people say that, oh my God, I'm not finding a job. What do? I don't want to come back. It's perfectly okay to come back.
Yeah, true. That's one question that a lot of people say, what happens then? So I think that's one of the reasons why people also moving to Canada now, because they get the 3 years stay back. So they have so much more time to find a job, as against if it's, like Singapore, where Singapore just doesn't allow, you only have like 90 days,
Yeah.
I think to stay. But that's
trial period.
Correct, the short-term visa. So Singapore in that term becomes very difficult. UK now is allowing 2 years stay back option. So that's what a lot of students look at. So at least some amount of time to find a job, because 90 days is so little. It's not going to be easy to find a job in 90 days.
No.
It's just not happening.
No, it's almost not possible for you to land. I mean, you will have to take what you're given if you consider that time period.
Correct.
And I think that's not a compromise that's worth staying back for. If you study, because you study so hard when you're abroad to get good grades on your report, and if you have to compromise on like some workplace that you're eventually not going to be happy with, then why do you want to compromise, right? You can come back here, you'll get better opportunities once you're back with an international degree. Yeah, so it's okay. Nothing's lost,
True. Ramaa?
So I can talk about UK. So we're in the UK, you're not allowed to apply to many universities. I remember I was just allowed to apply to 4 universities for medicine.
Yeah. There's a restriction that comes from medicine applications, correct?
So you have to be very careful, and you have to plan out. And I think Yes, I know. Anita ma'am suggested Dundee and I got into Dundee.
But we did have challenges at the end of the application. If you remember when the
We
results came out,
definitely did. Yes,
we had,
yes.
yes, we had. But all's well that ends well. I remember you were so
Uh-huh.
stressed and you were so upset and all that you were going through at that point of time. But I told you if it was meant to be, it was going to happen, and it did.
Yes. So I would just so my suggestion would be to just plan out and be smart about which universities you apply to, especially when you do not have, especially when you're not spoiled for choice, and have fun when you're in wherever you are. You know, things work out, so don't worry too much.
Thank you, Brahma. Aaron, do you want to wind this up?
Yeah, so I think for me it would be to be confident. To be confident. So sorry for that. So basically, when I started doing like the applications and stuff and applying for the visa, passport, and then going there, everything felt so formal. And the fact that I was going to a developed country for the first time, I mean, I was going outside India for the first time in my life. So, it's just, I had this false sense of constriction on myself, like, oh, everything has rules and I have to live by those rules. And, something as simple as sending an email to your professor asking for some questions felt like a huge deal. I mean, if I was in India and if I had to send an email to a professor, I would have just done it like in a blink of an eye. I mean, I wouldn't have given it a second thought. But for some reason, when I was at UC San Diego, I just felt pressured. I felt, oh my God, this guy, he did his PhD from Harvard University. How do I ask him about this question, about this silly question? And even in lectures, I used to think, oh my God, he's such a smart guy. How do I ask him questions? But I feel as if you shouldn't feel that constriction and you should understand that they are there for you. They're
Correct.
your
Yes.
instructors and it's your right to ask them questions. And you shouldn't feel afraid to explore.
Mm.
You shouldn't feel stressed out about small things. I mean, for example, if you United States, even though it feels as if it has lots of rules, it's pretty flexible. I remember for one of the quarters I forgot to get my housing, and just a week before I contact my college saying, oh my God, I need housing, and they gave it to me. And they broke protocol. They broke protocol to give me housing. How insane is that?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like, I think I would have managed that. I mean, at that point, I had enough confidence to, stay in a hotel for a while or find house somewhere else or something like that. But
Yeah.
still, the fact that they broke their rules, broke their protocol to accommodate a student speaks a lot about, the United States culture, which is very flexible. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just students just need to put themselves out there. I think joining student organizations, finding jobs,
Hmm.
and attending events, even if, yeah, I mean, it, for me, we have a quarter system. So each quarter is just 11 weeks long. We finish 4 courses
Mm.
in one quarter. And so it's really difficult to make friends because you meet one person one time and you don't meet them again. And so
Yeah.
the only way to make friends in a quarter system is to join student organizations. And I didn't realize this
Correct.
until the end of my second year. And the only reason I didn't realize it was because I was just too scared, I think. But once I realized that, once I joined student organization, it just changed me, because since just within 5 months, I'm organizing one of the biggest festivals in UCSD. I mean, it got
Yeah.
cancelled now because of coronavirus. But before that, I was arranging one of the biggest festivals. And so it's like it's an open world basically. You can do whatever you want as long as you stick to the laws. Don't break the law, please. But don't feel too
Mm.
constricted about what you can do, about silly things, about small things. Be confident, put yourself out there. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with that. Even if, the person is, a Harvard PhD or, he could be a Nobel Prize winner. The system over there is so open. They actually welcome questions. So when you ask them
Yes.
questions, they're happy about it. It shows that you are interested, you want to participate. They're not going to shut you down if you ask them a question.
Never.
And
Never.
that's something I really love about the system over there.
Yes.
You can
I
ask them
think
like the silliest, sorry.
Oh yeah,
no,
I
I think
remember
that
one
I
time.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, so sorry. Because I remember one
No,
time in
no
one
worries.
of my math courses, uh, it was Math 20A. I couldn't skip the course just because I didn't take the AP, but I had covered all the stuff in my high school. So basically, it was revision, and I remember one of the students asked a very silly question, and I thought to myself, "Oh no, the professor's going to get pissed off." The professor spent the next 10 minutes explaining that basic concept to the student. Who does that? Okay, so
Yeah.
that's one of my experiences
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's awesome about the system. They love that. They
Yeah.
welcome the silence of questions.
Also,
Yeah,
I
I
just
think
wanted
that's
to
the
let you
same.
know, I think one of the attendees has their hands up.
Oh,
Varna Shetty, yeah. So I have put a thing over there saying that please post your question, because there are two tabs. One is answer questions, and there is a tab called chat. So chat is where everybody needs to put their questions. So I have put that out there saying, put your questions there. But I think whatever was there on the questions tab, I have answered them. So I don't see anything coming up. I have somebody who's texting me separately, but that's okay. I'll reach out to them later.
Okay. I have one asking me if I'm visible or not, which I'm not. So.
Yeah, I replied to that too, saying that unfortunately Aaron and Swati are not visible.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, so I think that's about it. Anything else that you guys want to share, because we're already overrunning by about 15 minutes now. So anything else that you want to share with everybody out there?
mm,
Rama,
no, just
Poorva,
be yourself.
Swati, Aaron.
Everything will work out. Just don't worry. And please make friends outside, make friends other than Indian. Don't be afraid of
Oh
making
yeah.
friends with other
Oh yeah.
ethnicities.
Yeah.
It's perfectly
Yeah.
okay. They're equally scared.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
don't have
you're
any
So
scared too.
preconceived notions. Yeah, just be open to everyone and
Yeah.
everything,
that's
and
a
just
very
be
good point,
very
because
sociable.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
Just
because
make
that's
like
the
friends.
thing.
yeah, you need to find
Yeah,
people with similar personalities as you, and oftentimes people of your same race might not have the same personality, but I have so many Chinese friends and Indonesian friends, and so it's just
Yeah, and you
fantastic.
learn so much from all
so
of
much.
them, right?
Correct.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
At the end of university, you'll have friends everywhere in the world.
Yeah,
So
it'll be
Yeah.
like
make
your
friends.
family away from home.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that. And especially for you guys as undergrad students, because you all are spending 4 years of your life over there. That's really a family that you build. 5 for you, yes. That's really the
Same.
life. And Swati for you also. Yes, Swati for you
Yeah.
also with your double degree. Yeah. So that's really the family. And the friends that you make in college are the ones that remain with you for a lifetime.
Mhm.
And you don't know where you'll run into them.
Correct,
You
correct.
will run into your
Absolutely.
alumna, and when you do, they will be equally excited.
True.
Because just to be,
Absolutely.
you went to my university. That's how they will. That's going to be an icebreaker. So just make friends
Yeah.
with whoever you can, not just, and don't stay restricted to Indians, because we tend to do that, right? We follow a herd mentality. Oh, it is an Indian, I'm going to
It's
go
just
talk to him.
safer to do that. Yeah.
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 Also, don't just focus on studying. Like, university is a great place to go out and explore. It's, get
Right.
involved with stuff, get involved with different kinds of societies and clubs, and, make friends and go out and have a look at the city where you're living in. Don't just stress about studying. It's a really good place to explore and grow as a person, and it's a great opportunity, and I believe everyone should take it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
True. Absolutely. Great.
Just another note, if you're planning to move to Canada, then I think knowing French is really it's a good asset to
Oh.
know another language.
And in fact, there's something I always tell all students, depending on where you're planning to move. So if you're planning to US, Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, Spanish would be the second language there, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I always tell us if you're planning to move, so when you finish your education, you have about a couple of months before you actually move to the university. So you can actually finish one level of an international language. So if it's Europe, depending on where you're going, so it could be French, it could be German. If it's Canada, definitely French. If it's US, it's Spanish. Rama, you have no issues because UK only has one language,
I'm
it's just
fine.
English.
I actually,
What dialect it is, what, depending on whether they're the Scottish or the Irish, that's what it's going to change to.
Scottish is so difficult to understand for some reason.
So is Irish. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's a great point, this one. That's something we always must do. So awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm not seeing any questions here directly to us. So I think we will wind off. Everybody needs to get back to their studies, and Poorva, you need to go enjoy your holiday.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, guys, for being online. It's so wonderful for all of us to be here together. Aaron and Swati,
Yeah.
we can't see you. Bye.
Bye
Thank you
bye.
so much.
bye. Thank you.
Thank you for
Bye.
having us. Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Anita.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
being there. Have a great day. Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.